All right. Thank you so much for inviting me.
Of course.
So your studio is located inside your home.
Yes, it is.
Amazing.
Back this way. And right in here.
And you invite clients in here as well?
Not that often.
Okay.
Yeah, not very often.
All right,
This
awesome.
is my obnoxious dog.
So give me a grand tour. What we're looking at here.
Sure. So as you're entering, I have my two main sewing machines that I use all the time. This is my serger, also known as an overlock machine, and this is a cover stitch machine. So this one is for the inside, and this is for the outside, basically. That's the easiest way to put it. Over here, I have a collection of items that are from our pop-up shops. So everything on the website is made to order, so I don't make it unless somebody orders it. But I do pop-up shops every once in a while, and so I create stock for them, and that's
nice.
what these leftover pieces are. Then, obviously, printer. Up here I have all of my different color threads.
Wait, let me stop you there. What is a printer for? I always see them in all the garment factories and design studios.
Well, my printer is not very exciting. It's just for printing out shipping labels.
I see. All right. That's what they're for. Okay.
Yeah. So I have all my threads here. Then next to it, that's like my little sleeve ironing board. And above, my steamer and my iron. And that little fabric thing up there is called a ham.
Oh, I see.
That's for ironing like curved things because it drapes around it. Then over here I have my just standard sewing machine. So this I mostly use for sewing on labels, buttons, zippers, those kind of like finishing things. Then over in this corner I have a ton of fabric. So some of this fabric I'm using continually for orders. And then I also believe in sustainability and low waste. So I keep everything that's left over. And
even the scraps of things?
so very, very tiny scraps I will collect. And then I donate to a nonprofit called Fab Scrap that recycles fabric to eliminate waste. But things that are slightly too small to keep for a full order, I will still keep. And then I have a feature on my website called Smart Glamour Surprise, where folks can just pick either clothing or bralettes. They pick their size and they pick like a color range. So like bright, light, or dark. And then I just surprise them with an item. And it's way cheap. It's like a $20 little fun throw-on add-on so that I am not throwing out so much stuff.
Oh, that's amazing.
Yeah.
You should see more of that in other companies. That would be
Oh, yeah. I mean, I used to just do fabric sales and be like, here are the fabrics I have. Who wants something out of them? And it just took so much time. And it was like an organizational nightmare. And so I came up with this idea to have a surprise item so that I was a little bit more in control of what was being made, but folks could still pick their size and their color preference, and then I would just send them something. And a lot of my customers are repeat customers, so like every month, 2/3 of my customers are repeat and 1/3 are new, which is really great. And then they keep repeating. So I know what folks like after a while, and I have a pretty good memory of things like that. And so I like to think I send them things that they would like.
And where do you usually shop for fabrics?
I shop all over the place. There's one store in Astoria that I go to, sometimes called Astoria Fashion Fabrics. But other than that, I'm all in the garment district on 37th, 38th, 39th Street between 7th and 8th Avenue. I'm there every week, multiple times a week sometimes. My favorite store, my go-to store is Chic Fabric on 38th Street. They used to be on 39th and they moved. I've been shopping there for years. They're lovely.
Amazing.
Yeah, I'm there like every day.
So what's on the table?
So on the table right now is a fabric I really love. So I like to use fabrics that are easy to wash and wear and go. They're comfortable, they're soft, they're not too expensive. So the things that I'm making end up not being too expensive because I really believe in accessibility. Yeah. So this fabric is called Rayon Challis. It's kind of like it feels like a lightweight cotton, but it's so drapey because it has rayon in it.
So it's a semi-synthetic?
Yes.
Okay. Oh, great.
Yeah, and I'm going to make a pair of Edith pants out of that, which is a pant style from my site.
Ooh,
it's kind of like a paper bag waist, like flowy, comfortable pant.
Wonderful.
And up here I have all my patterns. So they are organized by the product name and then the category. So tops, swimwear, skirts, pants, dresses, and then sleeves, and then like miscellaneous patterns. And I have I love a list. So I have lots of different notebooks where I take notes, where I do pattern math. while I'm working.
Oh, just so everything stays consistent.
Right. So like this, for example, like this right here is actually a little pattern math from making a bralette. Because I don't have a specific pattern for every size I carry, because as you can see here, I have lots and lots of sizes. So for one product, I might have like
a lot of sizes.
I might have like four or five sized patterns, and I'll pick the one that's closest and then edit it as I go.
I see.
Yeah. So sometimes I need to write notes down so that I know what I'm doing.
Okay, cool.
And then before I start working over here, I have my dress forms. I wish I had more, but right now I just have a straight size one and a plus size one. And honestly, this is kind of like a small, and this is like a 1X. So I wish I had a third one that was bigger than this, but they're
to
very...
have the full range.
Yeah.
Is it possible to find those larger sizes?
Yes, there's every size. I mean, actually... Let me take that back. There's probably dress forms up to maybe like a 5X, 6X. I've never seen one in this range here. Okay. But they're very expensive. Yeah. So, and I've had some and they've broken and I've replaced them. So like, you know, right now I just have these two. And I have a million measuring tapes. Back behind these guys, I have a few rolls of fabric. I use these for my bomber jackets. And then I also have some pattern making paper, some sketchbooks down there. Yeah, and then
for books, I see them a lot in design studios as well. Mm-hmm. Do you have like garment books where they show specific like design patterns?
I don't have any books that have like patterns in them. When it comes to fashion books,
do you use a better question is, do you use any reference books?
Yes and no. So the only fashion books I really have are like vintage clothing books. So sometimes if I'm like looking for a new silhouette, I might flip through a vintage book. But I also do a lot of research online. You know, I do a lot of scrolling Pinterest, things like that. So all of my fashion related books are kind of like the past. And then if I want to do any like current research, I do it on the internet. Cool. But I also just like keeping art books.
Yeah, of course. And
then sketchbooks and more thread and supplies all up there. All of my like pencils and markers and stuff are up there.
And then these are also your clothing.
So yep, these are from spring 2015. So for example,
beautiful.
These two they're wearing the same dresses as each other. So like they're wearing the same dress in different colors, and these two are wearing the same dress in different colors. And then these are just three people that I liked together. I have a lot of like fun little things around here. I have this little board with things from my friends and my husband and little notes my friends have sent me over the years. This is a ring light, my camera, all types of stuff.
And do you make mood boards as well whenever you're designing?
I don't really make physical mood boards anymore. That's something that I did back in school when I was making like a whole project. Now I do a lot of like Pinterest boards where I'll collect images of inspiration, color palettes of inspiration, and just kind of keep track of it there. Okay. It's a little easier.
Cool. All right, now let's see what you do with this fabric.
All right, cool. So I'm making a pant.
And that's amazing that one could buy clothing that is made, could be in their very neighborhood or their very borough.
Oh yeah. Mm-hmm. One of my great returning customers lives in Astoria, actually. Let's see. So since I'm making something that's not exactly to this pattern, I measure things and like put extra pins in so that I know where to cut, because I'm not going to cut just directly around the pattern.
And do you ever have interns or other people working with you?
I have over the past few years. You know, I had a 3-month pop-up shop in spring of 2015 in East Village on 9th Street. So when I was there, I had some design interns working with me. And then over the years, I've had a few different interns to do like various social media tasks. You know, I've had some people collaborate with me on my Twitter and on my Pinterest and things like that. But as far as the everyday, it's just me.
how many garments can you make per day?
Whew, a lot. It depends on the garments. Obviously, they don't all take the same amount of time to make. But I have been sewing for about half of my life, and now for the past 6 years, I've been sewing, multiple times a week. I make entire collections in about 2-3 days.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. So, if I do a collection, of like 25 looks, which sometimes, a look might have 2 or 3 pieces to it. Sometimes that's about 30 to 40 items, and I can make that from start to finish in usually about 2.5-3 days by myself, which is very, very, very fast.
That is very quick. So
yes.
What part of the process are we in right now?
So this is, it's not a new item, so I don't have to pattern make. Like, I already have a pattern and I just edit it as I go. Yeah. So normally if I'm making a new item, I would have to make a pattern. So I would do that either using my forms, or I would flat pattern make with paper or muslin on the table, or a combination of both. So we're skipping that part because it's already done.
Of course.
And then this is just cutting.
So pattern make means before you even start.
It's making making the pattern that the item is going to be based on.
I see.
Yes.
And that's in order not to waste fabric, right?
Well, it's that, but it's also just like consistency, right? So it makes sure that every time I make this garment, it's the same.
I see.
So if somebody later on gets the same thing again, they're getting the same item. It's going to fit the same.
Oh, so you're making multiple of the same garments, and once you make a design, you have it already on your online store.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yes.
And then do you ever have clients that want you to just design something for them specifically for a special night?
So I have done that a little bit for standard customers. Like sometimes if somebody needs like a dress of some kind for a special occasion, I have done that. I also do that sometimes for, famous type people, like not uber famous people, but, different activists or actresses who need a look for a special event. I have done that.
I have the feeling I'll be hearing your name at the Oscars. Oh, I'm wearing a Mallorie Dunn.
Like the most recent thing I made was for author and activist and all-around cool person, Leah V. I made a incredible gown for her to wear to the Glamour Women of the Year Awards.
Oh, that's wonderful.
Yeah. So that was just, I don't know, maybe a month ago.
And what makes you use Smart Glamour rather than Mallorie Dunn?
That is a good question. So when I started Smart Glamour, my name was Mallory Carrington.
Which already sounds like a very old school London-based
it does.
design house.
It does.
Yeah.
What am I doing? So I don't know. I never really thought to use my name in the first place, although I guess I could have. But I came up with the name Smart Glamour actually when I was at FIT. I was taking a class where basically we learned about how to brand a company, and we had to do a project where we were like made our own company, and so we had to make up a name. And at that time, I was thinking a lot about like the dichotomy of being interested in fashion, but also very brainy and academic, and a lot of times over my life people have put those things at odds with me, and I don't appreciate that. I think that you can be academic and nerdy and scholarly and all those things while also being interested in fashion and style and all that stuff. I think sometimes anything that is attributed to women or seen as like women's work, quote unquote, can be devalued.
Yeah.
And so that's what Smart Glamour is. It's a combination of, academics and style.
Oh, that's wonderful.
At the same time.
All right, so let me now